I just got back from sitting next to and working with Sam Ovens, CEO of School, for the past week, and it was freaking awesome. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And in this video, I want to share with you the three things that I learned from hanging around him. And these are three things that people make mention of in YouTube videos, they make mention of in books and things, but these are just three of the things that I learned about Sam and the way he operates that I think any entrepreneur can benefit from adopting as well. These are potentially three needle moving activities that Sam has really embodied and just completely habitualized. He does them without even thinking about them. So, based on my observations, these are my three biggest takeaways, three biggest lessons from hanging around Sam. So, without further ado, the first one is Sam asks a lot of questions. He asks a lot of questions. And I don't think he asks questions just like to ask questions for conversation's sake. He asks questions because he's genuinely curious about the answer. And he asks questions as a way of helping the person who's asking him a question. So oftentimes you ask him a question and his most common response is why? Or why would you do that? Or why would I do that? There's always something to do with like why. He wants to know why. And it changes the dynamic of a conversation because when you ask someone a question, they just give you an answer. Okay, cool, you can move on. But when you ask Sam a question and he prompts you with why, then you have to really think. And oftentimes, just you thinking of the answer to the question why gives you the answer that you're actually looking for. So, for example, you might ask Sam, um, you might ask Sam, how do I how do I not waste time on social media, for example? And Sam would say, well, why are you even on social media? Then you have to think about it. You're like, why am I on social media? If I'm already running ads to a webinar, we're booking calls and we're closing sales, why do I even need to be on social media? And like that alone can give you the answer you're looking for. So I thought that was really interesting. He asked me a lot of times uh, questions, and then just about like the product and things like, what do you think of this or what do you think of that? And then whenever I would ask him a question, or whenever I would like show him something, he'd often say, "Why? How come? Why are you doing that?" And he just was a staff member too, not just me, everyone. So that's the first thing. He asks a lot of questions. Even throughout the day, randomly, we'll just be sitting there working, and then he'll be like, "What do you think of such and such?" Or I'll be sitting there and be like, "Ted, come over here," and then he'd be like, "How would you do this in this instance? Like, where would you intuitively want to click?" Or how should we make this look? Or what do you think about this landing page? Or what do you think about this design? Or what word should we use to describe this? And here's another thing too. He'd ask these questions. He'd ask what other people think. He asked for opinions. And there was a time when it was like me, the head designer, and then a head developer. It was us three. Sam was asking us our opinion on something that he showed us that he was working on. And all three of us agreed with each other, and we disagreed with Sam on a certain thing. But Sam was so dead fast in his opinion. He's very opinionated. He's so dead fast in his opinion that he considered our answers, he considered our responses, and he's like, "Yeah, I think this will work anyway." And so he like disregarded our advice, our suggestions, because he didn't like our suggestions. That's fine, but I thought it's interesting like how he'd ask three people for our opinions. We'd all agree, but then he would go ahead with his method anyway, his approach anyway, his first answer anyway. So that's the first lesson I learned from Sam. Just ask a lot of questions, but don't be attached to people's answers. The second thing I learned from Sam is that whenever you'd ask him a question, or whenever I'd ask him a question, oftentimes, if he had to think about an answer, he would spend time thinking about it. He wouldn't just spit out something right away. Oftentimes he would this is like his favorite body language. He'd genuinely be thinking about it. And he'd like look up and he'd think. And he might respond like 10 seconds later with an answer. And near the end of my trip, when I was there, I started doing this as well. He started asking me questions, or when he would ask me questions, I started to do the same thing. I'd be like, I would like genuinely think about it for a while. I would sense myself being quiet for a second. And I realized that by the time I gave him a good answer, or by the time I gave him an answer after 10 seconds of thinking, my answer after 10 seconds of thinking was different than the answer I would have given him 9 seconds earlier. And it's like, imagine you're playing chess and you only have 1 second to make each move. Your moves are going to be pretty bad. But if you give yourself 10, 20 seconds to think of your moves are going to be much, much better. You're going to realize that the first 3 moves you thought of were kind of garbage. So Sam spends a lot of time thinking. And he doesn't just spend time thinking about answers to questions you ask, but I just walk into the office and I would see him staring at his desktop. Like I caught him staring at a blank desktop like 3 times. Like there's nothing on there, but he's just staring at it. Thinking deeply. And I also noticed him thinking about the same things over and over again. Like things that normally we would just think about once or twice, consider it done, move on. He would come back to the same little details over and over again and keep thinking about them. And he asked me what I thought about the same detail like 3 or 4 times. Like he's like, what do you think of this? So do you like this? Or how would you change this? Or do you think we should keep this? And it's like, it's the same, the this in this instance is the same thing. It's like the same topic over and over again. So he keeps coming back and thinking deeper about things. So that's the second thing I learned from Sam. He just spends a lot of time thinking. And he combines this with delegating or acting quickly. So slow thinking, or not slow thinking, but just spend more time thinking and then act quickly. So it might be perceived as like slow thinking, act quickly, or slow thinking, acting quickly, but he's probably thinking very quickly, but he just spends time thinking. And then once he's decided, boom, he'll delegate it, boom, he'll execute on it right away. And he lives with his notebook, man. I saw him write in his notebook like 20 times a day. 20 times a day, he's either writing in his notebook or scratching things out in his notebook. And when he scratches things out in his notebook, he doesn't just put a check, he doesn't just put a single line. He'll like fervently like scratch it out. Like it's done. It's done. He'll scratch it out fully. So that's the second thing. The third thing I noticed from hanging around Sam, working with him for a week, is that how do I say this? He protects his time. He protects his time, and he's very much works on a schedule. He protects his time and very much works on a schedule. So he doesn't go grocery shopping. He has Instacart for that. He doesn't even prepare meals. He has a meal prep company for that. And he works very much on a schedule. Oh, there's another thing he doesn't do. He doesn't do Zoom calls with he doesn't do any random Zoom calls. Every meeting is very intentional. And at the start of the meeting, he knows what the meeting is for, and he just gets max value out of every time he's on a Zoom call. I know a lot of people waste a lot of time on Zoom calls. I've wasted time on Zoom calls before, many times. Sam does not waste any time on Zoom calls. Very, very effective with his time. And every day at noon, Sam will say a word. Every day at noon, maybe 11:55 or 12:05 or whatever. I guess like the range between 11:55 and 12:05, somewhere in there, Sam will say a single word. And sometimes he'll say it with a question mark at the end. He'll either say lunch, or he'll say lunch with a little question mark. And we get up and we eat. And he doesn't eat at 11. He doesn't eat at 1. He eats at noon every day. That's lunch. So very, very on schedule with lunch. And he's also pretty much the first one to the office in the morning and the last one to leave at night. And he does that because he wants to beat traffic. He doesn't want to waste time in traffic. And he also has a very fast car because he doesn't want to waste time in traffic. And yeah, he's just near the end of the trip, he was gonna hand back some old laptops to Apple. Gonna give Apple some old laptops from the staff members in exchange for some cash. But Apple's buyback is so like these laptops that Sam had, that the staff handed in, they're on Craigslist. They're worth $1,000, but Apple was only gonna pay him like 500. So I told Sam, I was like, dude, these are worth $1,000. Like, can I buy them off you for 500 and then go sell them on Craigslist? And Sam's like, I don't think that's a good use of your time. Like, the fact that I could make $500 per laptop in his mind is like not a good use of time. So he very much looks at things as how good of a use of time are they, and and he talked about this a lot in the past about why he quit drinking alcohol, how it's such a waste of time. But he also thought about every now and then if he's with his whole team, like if he's with a bunch of staff members, like 5 or 6 staff members or whatever, and they want to go out drinking one night, he might go out and join them drinking and get drunk. Maybe, once every few months, maybe once a year or something. And he says that's actually a good use of time because the bonding benefit they get as a team drinking together, that benefit far outweighs the downside of the 1 or 2 days of being hungover thereafter. So he factors that in as well to how good of a use of time something is. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well. But yeah, that's it. Those are the 3 main key takeaways. If you want the other 3 little tricks that I learned from him, because he taught me a bunch of little tricks as well, I will send you a little document including like the links for these other little 3 things that he showed me. I think they're very, very helpful. I don't want to go into depth on them here in this video, but they help increase productivity and overall well-being. So if you want to know what those are, let me know. You can either comment below or send me a message with the word tricks. I'll send you a document with these 3 tricks that he taught me that have already helped improve my productivity. And I'll tell you what those are in that document. So that's it for now. Hope you found this video helpful. Yeah, cheers. Peace. Bye for now.